Hi and welcome. In this video, we're going to walk through setting up your volunteer hub for the first time. Before we get into designing the hub, let's just talk for a moment about what the hub's purpose is. Now, the hub is a volunteer portal. It's a place where volunteers will be directed as a new volunteer to sign up, but also your returning volunteers where they will find opportunities that you post, where they'll find information about volunteer programs, volunteer applications. There are other elements like being able to add resources they can download or an FAQ. But really, the Volunteer Hub is a place that they can all go to find out all the ways in which they can volunteer and learn more about your organization, volunteer opportunities. So let's get started designing. In this case, we're going to use a fictional West Side animal shelter, but imagine this would be your organization. You'll notice at the top there is a slug, what we call a slug when you first created your organization. We'll talk about that in a moment, but if you do need to change the name of your organization for whatever reason, you can go to settings here on the bottom left and you'll find more permission settings to update the overall name of your organization. But the only thing you won't be able to change once you get started is the sort of URL, or what we call the slug in the URL that you share externally. The main reason for that is once you publish, you'll start to have different events and activities, and all of the links will be broken if we have to change that. So, but everything else is pretty customizable. When you come into the hub, you'll notice that we have sort of this card on the right side that's open. It gives you two options. One, to update the colors. You'll notice there's a couple color options. And then something we call blocks. And blocks, if you've ever sort of built a website like Squarespace or Wix or anything else, they're sort of customizable blocks that you can then drag over onto your page. Now, if we close this for a second, you'll notice as default, there's a footer. This white space will be gone once you publish, but there's a footer and a header. And those are the only required elements. So if you're just getting started and you just want to get up and going, we're just going to set up a very basic header and kind of get started. But really over time, I encourage you to find ways to build out additional content using the blocks. It's really important for volunteers to find out a little bit more about your organization. So towards the end of the call, we will go through some of these different elements and maybe how you would use them. But just to start, we're just going to look at publishing with just a basic header and maybe one block. Okay, so let's get started doing that. In terms of the theme colors, there's different elements you can pull in, but let's start with uploading a photo, okay? Just for the sake of this header, I'm going to take kind of the default information here, join our volunteer community. And since it's an animal shelter, there are many ways you can get involved, from fostering cats and dogs to helping out at the office. Now, obviously, I'm just putting placeholder here, but really you can put whatever information you want. The name of your organization will appear. But it's just nice to give people an idea of what's coming in. We can make some changes to this button, but this button is where your new volunteers will come in. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. For now, I think it's really important. It's not mandatory, but really, I encourage you to grab a nice visual header that you can upload. So I've got a few aside. I'm going to click this edit photo. Okay, I'm going to click upload. And from here, I think I have some options. I think I've grabbed one that I wanted to use. So we're going to use this image right here. I think I just grabbed this from Unsplash, unsplash.com. They have a lot of really beautiful sites, images that you can use. So you can see right here, I can actually move it to center. I'm going to keep it to left because I kind of like the placement. But let's see if I want to zoom in a little bit, what that looks like. I can sort of drag it around. It's a little fiddly, mind you, but if you put your cursor, you can sort of drag the photos. That's a little bit bigger, but let's just kind of keep it there. Again, you can kind of play around with how this looks. There is a gradient option, so if I click here, it'll make the background a little bit darker just so that your colors pop a little bit more. I actually don't think that's necessary with this photo, but again, just kind of play around. You're going to want to test and see what that looks like. Okay, so that's saved. And now that we've got the colors, obviously the default colors are don't work. And your organization may have specific colors that you want to use as part of your brand colors. But in this case, I'm like a new animal shelter. I don't really have any branding, and that's okay. So if I go into the main navigation, I'm going to want to update the color. So if I know the color, I can just put in what we call the hex code right here. But if you don't know the color, don't worry. Just click into the number, the box with the number. It's going to pop up and it'll bring up the colors that you have here. You can obviously play around with it. You can move the colors, change however you like, whatever works. In this case, I think I'm going to take some inspiration from the photo. So if I grab this little dropper right here and I pull it onto the photo, I can actually just pull the same color. And that looks really nice, actually. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into the secondary navigation. Now, the secondary navigation is actually quite useful because it will pull in different shades of that color into some of your pages. You'll see it we give you a lot of choices, but we also use those choices to make your colors look a little bit better. So I'm going to pull in maybe like a lighter version. Actually, that looks really nice. So I just pulled those colors from the photo. And whenever you're looking at what we call like a call to action button, it's really important to keep that sort of your brightest color, obviously visible because it's going to be on your buttons and things, but the orange works really well. But I'm going to try, actually, let's see if I can find like a yellow that I like. Let's pull in here something a little bit, that's too dark, that's a little ugly, it's too bright. Let me see. And you'll notice as the color changes, the color on the button will change just for visibility purposes. So this actually looks really nice, and I'm going to leave it at that for now. Actually, no, let's pull in the footer color as well. I'm going to pull in a similar color, and the footer we basically pull to sort of 20% transparency. You'll see it's a little shade different. That's purposely just to make sure that all the text is visible, and it's just a slightly different shade than the other colors, but that'll work really nice. So now that we've got the header, which I think looks really good, I'm going to save the draft top right, make sure I don't lose my information, and I'm going to add one more block just so we can see what that looks like. And there's a lot of really nice blocks in here. You can add a quote, a gallery has different photos. One of the ones we really like is this illustration, and a lot of it's sort of pre-filled for you. So if I pull in the illustration here, you notice there's like 3 sections. So I can choose things that I want people to click on. I can use it as like a 1, 2, 3-step process. So how you kind of want to explain different things. You could say like new volunteers, opportunities. And again, these tabs are across the top, so you don't really need to do this. It can be however you want. And you can also add external links. So if you want to put donate, you can add text or you don't have to, but in this case, get involved and sign up. I'm only putting placeholder text. It's really important you think about the content that you're adding here. Events and shifts available for sign up. Donate. Please help us with any online donations. And yeah, okay, so once we've got some content here, we can start to add images. And you notice from the pop-up, there's 2 options. You've got one on the left-hand side, which has sort of pre-filled options here. So if you've got new volunteers, let's just use this one, okay? Save, so we've pulled in the color here. And then you could upload your own image. So if you want to put a photograph or something else in there, you'll notice across the bottom, there's a way to add a URL. So if there's a donation link or something you want people to click into, that's where you would put that. So the next one, you can use this one, let's say, and then donate. I think there's one for kind of donating. I mean, that's a little very obvious, but let's go for that one. So we've got the links here, and you can see they kind of blend in. Some of the blocks have a sort of shaded background that is very similar to what we did with the footer. And then others will have a white background. So you can kind of mix and match, but once you get going, you can kind of play with that. So I kind of like this one. I'm going to save the draft, but actually I'm ready. Let's go ahead and publish. So once we've published it, you'll notice that there's a share button. And the share link, this is the URL that you can send to your volunteers to invite them. So let's copy that. And then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to open this up into a new browser page. So the new page is loading here. There, so you can see now you've got a really beautiful hub. It's very simple. There's a lot more content you can add, but in terms of what's required, this is the key of what's required. Across the top, this is the About Volunteering page. If I click on Find Opportunities, you'll note that there's some other things that we can start to go ahead and customize. So let's look at that page, and then we'll come back at the end to look at some of the other blocks and play around with those sections and see how that works. But in terms of requiring what you need to have published, you don't even have to upload a photo, but again, you can see how beautiful it looks. And there's lots of sources out there to find really nice images. So for now, we're going to leave the landing page, and across the top, you'll see there's one called Opportunities. So if I click on Opportunities, this is essentially the landing page for your opportunities, for events, for applications, and depending on which plan you're on and which functionality you have access to, these are different boxes and you can customize them. So again, if we go back to the volunteer experience, you'll see the boxes are here, but they look a little lonely. I think there's a little bit more customization we can do. So let's go ahead and we can upload some images. So for applications, let's just use, actually, let's use the cat. Let's just use some colors here. So we've kind of got the cat, we can position. That looks kind of fun. We'll just take a second to crop and load it. Okay, so there's the cat. And then let's add another one. Cats. Let's see if we can find a dog. Dog's reading. There's kind of a funny one. So again, it's really up to you. You don't even have to use photos. You can use images or patterns or anything that you want here. And then we're going to add one for the shift schedule. So let's do one like this, which has kind of more dogs. I'm going to zoom in a bit more. There we go. And then let's crop and see what that looks like. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and top right, I'm going to publish the changes. And let's refresh this page. So once we refresh, you can see that looks a lot better, doesn't it? So we've got the colors here. It's just a little bit more friendly. And again, just because you add the photos, you can go in and change them at any time. So if I don't like these, I can just, again, click on it again and upload a different image. So it's really up to you, and you can modify and change it. You'll notice that there's fixed titles, but don't worry, there actually is a way you can rename that. I'll show you that in a second. But I really encourage you, even if you can't do it on the first day, use these boxes. So we obviously have find opportunities, but you can say like find all the available opportunities or whatever you want to write here. And then you can put a description. It's a nice kind of introduction to the different ways in which people can get involved. You can also reorder how the boxes appear. There's just a lot more options. But underneath, you can have applications. So find specific roles and projects that are open to you. And then events. Events could be, depending on how you want to use the scheduling for events, it's kind of nice. These are, since it's a West Side Animal Shelter, let's assume these are adoption events. Adoption events on weekends that could use volunteers. Yeah, I think that's great. And then shift schedule. Shift schedule, let's say you're using that for your sort of weekly volunteering in the office. You could say like office volunteering opportunities posted weekly. Whatever you want to put. But again, we're kind of there, so let's go ahead and publish those changes. And then again, you'll see right away that even just adding like a little bit of content underneath just kind of fills that out and makes it a little bit nicer. So yeah, so that's basically all you need to worry about. We've got two other sections here. So if you're on the advanced plan or higher, you'll get access to functionality where you can create resources. You can also create an FAQ page. An FAQ is where if you get the same questions again and again, like what can I expect volunteering, how long can it be, until I hear back from you, any sort of things like that, where if you find people are asking the same things and you have access to this feature, just come to the hub, post in that question and write an answer and then publish. Trust me, it's going to make your life a lot easier. Once you add the questions, you can scroll them up and down. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because there will be another article and video about creating specifically your FAQ, but that's all part of the hub, so it's an important consideration. And resources, if we go to the details page, if you have documents you want your volunteers to download, if you come to the details page, if you scroll to the very bottom, this is where you can control the visibility and privacy of FAQ and also resources. So if you want them to be private to people or public, or you don't want any resources at all, that's what you do right here. So in this case, I'm going to keep it simple. There's no resources, no FAQ, and if I press save, I just want you to see what happens here. So look top right corner when I refresh. You'll notice that the tabs are no longer there. So if you are not ready to have your FAQ or you don't plan to use those features, you can turn them off right away. So there's an easy way to do that. But if you need to upload documents, you can see the upload documents is right here. So let's go ahead and go back to the top of this page. It's really important throughout the application, you'll see what we call details pages. Now, those are settings pages for any sort of area of the application, but the details page of the Hub editor is probably one of the most important. And I'm not going to spend too much time on new volunteer onboarding because there are other areas you can learn about that. But what I am going to show you is the second link here is the register here. Now, when we were on the landing page, and if we go back to the Hub editor, the public facing hub, you can see register here. Now, if I want to change that, you can say like join us, or you can say, volunteer today, whatever you want to do. So you can change the button. So if I go ahead and change this and press save, and then I go ahead and refresh the page, you'll see you have some control over what the button says there, okay? And that'll update for new people anywhere you want them. So that's a basic overview of setting up your hub. And I'm going to take a few more minutes for those of you who are interested to stick with me and talk about a few more of the colors and how they can be used and some of the blocks here. So when you're building out your hub, there are some great opportunities to be able to communicate things to volunteers. So one of the things that you can communicate is, for example, your mission. So you may want to put your mission right in there. So you can say like mission statement. You can use this as different things that you want to include. But you can say to improve the lives of our pets in the city. Whoops, city. And obviously your mission statement will be different than this. There's something else you can include like galleries. So if I drag in the gallery, that's sitting a little bit high. I actually want to have like 3 photos. So you'll see top left corner, you can sort of adjust how many photos you want. I actually want to bring this down so that it kind of breaks up how it looks. Again, you can kind of have the order. A lot of people really love having this section at the top, but it depends on how you want to utilize it. It's really up to you. You could also have 2 here. You could put in an image or a video. If you don't like it, just click the trash and you can delete that block there. So let's find another one that I really like. So one of the ones that I also really like is a quote. So the quote is fantastic, actually. So the quote is a really nice visual, and usually you have quotes from volunteers like, I had an amazing time volunteering, the staff was really helpful. Obviously, I'm making this up. You'll have to get the quotes from the volunteer. So in this case, you can say like Janet Wilson, volunteer. Okay, so you just want to attribute the quote. If you have a photo of Janet, that would be fantastic. You can upload her image right here, but this part is optional. What is really nice, so let's publish and let's take a look at what that looks like for now. Okay, so if we uploaded without any photo, without anything, you're going to see the quote, and it's all right. It's a nice colorful block, and that may work for you. But we have a really nice feature that if you want to click Edit Photo, and then let's find a photo, dog walking. Let's use this one. All right, so we got some nice dogs there. So we're going to crop and save. And if you upload the image, in a moment you'll see it has sort of an overlay, so it's kind of really pretty. You can also scale the image if you want. So let's go ahead and save that. Publish the details. Refresh, and let's see what that one looks like. So again, it just kind of makes a little bit of a difference. And I don't really like those two up together. I would probably break it up. So let's go ahead and break that up with some content. So now we've got a lot of different options for like what we call content. There's one where you can have like bullet points. This is really useful if you want something to describe like, you know, a role, and you can kind of say like expectations, or you know, what kind of things that people would be expecting here. You can add additional bullet points. I'm not going to use that one, so I'm going to delete that for now, but let's try out a few others. Bullet points works really well for concise things when you're kind of breaking it up. You can also, oh, I love this one. So if you look at the icon, it'll kind of give you a sense of what it looks like, but again, just drag it in and see how that appears. This one allows you to upload an image and just a bit of information. And then if you notice here in the top left, if you want to add 3, you can add up to 5 actually. So if you have different roles or positions, people can go to the opportunities page, but if you want to have a quick summary, you can certainly do that. So let's just have 2 here. And then let's say like dog walking, and then cat fostering. Okay, so this is text. I'm just going to put in text here. I'm just going to do this for the sake of our little video recording, but let's do. I'm going to use, I think, the same image actually. So it may take a second just to load. Okay, there we go. So let's just crop this one. Again, it's the same one I used for the quote, but I think that'll work quite well. It's just taking a moment to save here. All right, so we've got dog walking and then cat fostering. Let's find a cat photo. Cat fostering. Again, don't be concerned. We're working on the speed of some of these uploads, but it takes a little bit of time just to upload. So I'm going to go ahead and crop that one right there. All right, and then let's upload this one. Okay, so we've got dog walking, cat fostering. Again, you can add others if you want, and you can kind of make changes, but let's go ahead and publish those changes. I'm going to refresh. And hopefully this is helpful, just kind of walking you through, but I think we've probably spent about 20 minutes together now. Oh, there's a little bit of a issue uploading those, but you can see how it should appear with the image here of when you're uploading the photos. I think it was just using my crop a little bit too close. But basically, if you use the block section, you're able to drag a lot of different things in and really give yourself section titles. You can also include like a title here. So if you want to kind of introduce each section, you can say like, here are some amazing opportunities, right? And if you highlight the text, that's one thing I should have mentioned. If you highlight the text, you'll notice there's a way to put a link or bold or, you know, underline or any of that kind of stuff. So I encourage you to keep it simple. You don't want to kind of overwhelm with too many different elements, like making it too bold or anything. The font is going to remain the same, but I think it works in a really neutral way. Another thing to consider is depending on how you're laying out some of the fields, you'll notice there's like a white or a color background. So if you have the title that's introducing, let's say like one of these other components that have a darker background, you can change the background of the title. There's also a divider. So again, that'll have kind of the same elements, where if you just want to add a line, that's a really useful thing to do. So just play around with some of these blocks. There's a lot for you to work with. Don't feel overwhelmed. It's not to replace your main website. You just want to really give people a sense of how they can volunteer with your organization and kind of get them excited about what they could do and what the potential is. So really spend a few minutes focused on your content first and foremost, and really focused on if you were a new volunteer, what would you want to be learning and experiencing? So this has been a really long video today, but hopefully it's been useful. And feel free to reach out to us on the in-app chat, bottom right corner, if you have any questions. And I look forward to seeing your hubs in motion. All right, take care.